Welcome back to SimpleBibleProphecy.com. This is Lesson 9, The Rocks Reign. This will be the last in the series on the sub-outlines. Just a quick review of what we've gone over the last couple of lessons. We know that the fourth corner piece, or the sub-outline, is Revelation 19 through 22. And in that, we know that Christ wins the Battle of Armageddon. He defeats the Antichrist and the false prophet, and the dynamic duel are thrown into the lake of fire. Then Satan is chained for 1,000 years, and he's thrown into the abyss. At the end of the 1,000 years, Satan will be loosed again, and he will gather the people to battle against Israel in the last Gog-Magog war. He is defeated and thrown into the lake of fire, followed by the great white throne judgment. Now, that's where we left off. The next major event will be the new heaven and the new earth. There, God will dwell among us. We will be his people, and he will be our God, just as he intended it from the very beginning. So as John is writing these scriptures, and he's talking about the beauty and the relationship being restored with the Lord, all of a sudden he breaks rank and goes back to the lake of fire. And he does this in Revelation 21, verse 8. And it says, "But for the cowardly and unbelieving, and abominable, and murderers, and immoral persons, and sorcerers, and adulterers, and all liars, their part will be in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death." Now, where exactly the lake of fire, when all of this is said and done, is located, I'm not exactly sure. But John wanted to bring that up. And I noticed that towards the end there, he says, all liars. That pretty much covers everybody. So again, it goes back to, is your name in the book of life? So the chapter goes on to show that the city of Jerusalem will be coming down out of the sky. And he gives a description of what it looks like. It has high walls and is shaped like a square. And it has 12 gates. And each of the 4 walls has 3 pearl gates. Each gate has an angel and also the name of the tribe of Israel at each gate. And each gate will always be open. The wall has 12 foundation stones, each with the name of the 12 apostles. The city is 1,500 miles long, 1,500 miles wide, and 1,500 miles tall. Now, to give you a better idea of what it looks like in layman's terms, picture in the United States from Florida to Maine, north to south, and from North Carolina to Mexico from east to west. And then the same distance straight up. Now the walls are 72 yards thick, and they're made of jasper, and the city is of pure gold like glass. There is no temple, because God is the temple. The city has no sun or moon. God is the light. Jesus is the lamp. There is no nighttime. The gates are always open. They stress that. So even though the gates are always open, the only ones allowed to enter into the city are those written in the book of life. It is my interpretation that there will be life outside the city. As it states, the nations will walk by its light, the kings of the earth will bring glory into it, and only those who are written in the book of life can come into it. So that tells me there is life outside the walls of the city. Now, inside the city, at the throne, flows the river of the water of life. Alongside the river is the tree of life, with 12 kinds of fruit. And the leaves from this tree were for the healing of the nations. Now there will no longer be a curse, and God's followers will have his name on their foreheads. We will reign with him forever. So who will we reign? You see, I don't know, but we will reign. And apparently outside the gates of the city is where the unclean will be. Notice in the scriptures it says the liars are in that group again. They won't have the right to the tree of life or to enter the city. So who are the unclean? Are they the ones in the lake of fire, or are they future people on the new earth? You see, I don't know. That's something I'm not real sure about. This is how it all winds up. This is where we will dwell with God forever. Not heaven, but the new Jerusalem on the new earth. There will be no more death, no more mourning, no more crying, and no more pain. There will be no more nights. There will be no more politically corrupt systems run by man. Man will no longer rule man. Jesus will be in charge, just as the statue revealed. and we will live under the kingdom principle, God's kingdom, just how God meant it to be. So we started way back in Daniel's time, and we've come 3,600 years. And if you notice, we've really only covered 6 chapters out of the entire Bible. This is the overall broad outline of what the future. So let's take a look at the God's outline for the future and what we have, and look at the graph. So as we're looking at our graph, and you know I love graphs because you get to see the whole picture of everything that's going on. We see the main outline, which was Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And in that dream, we had our 5 manly kingdoms. We had the kingdom of Babylon, the Medo-Persia, then Greece, then the Roman Empire. Then we have a brief pause in there. We have the 5th world kingdom, which is yet to come, and then Christ reigns forever. Now we got that information out of Daniel chapter 2. So Nebuchadnezzar's statue basically gave us the major kingdoms that were coming from Babylon on all the way to Christ's reign forever. But it didn't give us any reference to time. So then we came to the sub-outlines. Now the sub-outlines provided us the times. So it started in Daniel chapter 9, and the basic timeline started in verse 24 through 27, where God gave us the 70 weeks. Now we know the 70 weeks actually stood for 490 years. And we divided that 490 years basically into 2 parts. We had the first 483 years, and then we had the final 7 years. And we know through our lessons that the 483 years are past. They already happened when the decree was issued to rebuild Jerusalem, and then the Messiah, the Prince, came. But we also know that there was a pause in there, and that the final 7 years would come sometime in the near future. Now, in between that pause, we know that the Messiah was killed, and the Jerusalem and the temple were destroyed. So now we're into Daniel's 70th week, which is the 3rd puzzle piece, or the 3rd corner piece of the puzzle. And we did a little bit of studying on that, and we found out that the 7 years is actually divided up into 2 halves. We have the first 7 years, where it starts with the signing of a 7-year covenant, and that the temple would be rebuilt during that time. And then at the midway point, there would be the abomination of desolation, and that would be when the Antichrist is actually revealed to the world. Then we come to the final corner piece of the puzzle. That is in Revelation 19, verse 19 through chapter 22. It is what a lot of prophecy buffs call the post-tribulation period, which means it comes right after the Great Tribulation. It is at the end of Daniel's 70th week that we're going to have a 75-day period. And it is of my opinion that that 75-day period is where the Battle of Armageddon is fought. And during the Battle of Armageddon, the Antichrist is defeated along with his buddy, the false prophet. They are thrown into the lake of fire. Satan is also thrown away into the abyss for 1,000 years. And Christ will rule and reign here on earth for 1,000 years. Then Satan is set free for a little while. Exactly how long, we really don't know. At the end of that, Satan is finally defeated totally and completely, and he is tossed also into the lake of fire with his 2 buddies. Then we will have the great white throne judgment. And those people who are not written in the book of life will be thrown into the lake of fire. It is at that time, when that is all done and over with, the new heaven and the new earth will be presented before us, and we will rule and reign with Christ from there on out forever. That is our basic outline of what the future looks like. So that's what the future looks like, and it looks pretty good to me. See, what we've done is we've gone into the Bible looking for major Bible prophecy. We've covered basically just 6 chapters, and God gave us a lot of information in those 6 chapters. He gave us all the major kingdoms, and then he broke it out in time. Now all we have to do is go back in and fill in the details. It's that easy. But now you can see why so many people struggle with Bible prophecy, because you have to have a starting point. You have to have a base. You have to have a good foundation. And Nebuchadnezzar is the one that gave it to us. And it all starts there. And if you don't understand Nebuchadnezzar and the rock, you will never understand Bible prophecy. That's where the beginning is. So on our next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to start filling in the details. The first details we're going to start filling in are the Antichrist. Everybody wants to know about the Antichrist. So we're going to start with him. So I hope you join me. And remember what Jesus said in John 14:19. Because I live, you shall also live. Thank you again, and God bless.